Hey, this is Chuck, and you are listening to Fans with Bands, the podcast where we talk to the fans and the bands they dig about life, music, and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. Hey, this is Chuck with Fans with Bands. We've got studio construction this week, so the next new episode will be out next week. But have no fear. We've gone back to our chat with Recorruptor and added a special bonus for you. Prepare to be crushed. From their latest album, The Funeral Corridor, this is Morbid. Check it out. Hey, this is Chuck with Fans with Bands, and I am with Clint from Recorruptor and Nick, who is a fan of the band Recorruptor. How you guys doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
Doing great.
Awesome. So, kind of to get things started off, let's do just a little intro. I'll start with you, Nick. Tell me just a little bit about yourself, and how did you get into the band Recorruptor?
Yeah. My name's Nick. I am a lawyer, actually, down in St. Joseph, Michigan. I work for the courthouse as just kind of an attorney for the judges here. I got into Recorruptor because I went to law school at MSU, and I went to a show with where Goatwhore and Black Fast were playing at Max Bar. And I believe that was Clint's 21st birthday, if I'm not mistaken.
You have to tell me, I don't remember.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think Clint remembers much, but I showed up there. I think the first band was just finishing up and Recorruptor was about to come out, and I didn't know who the guys were at all, and they put on a hell of a show, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? And I think after the show, you're during, the other sets, you guys were handing out demos and stuff. So I felt pretty, I can't remember. I don't think I bought it from you guys. I'm pretty sure you just gave them away. Yeah. So I had that, and I felt pretty in the loop of like this, underground band. So demo was great. And I saw you guys came out with an album, like just not too long after that show, downloaded that. And then ever since then, I've seen you guys like 3 other times after that. So been following you guys and really kind of just trying to get your name out there and support of the local Michigan bands. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we appreciate that for sure, man.
Yeah, of course, you guys deserve it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was the first show we did those demos at. So you're the first to have it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We called it Some Shit by Recorruptor.
Yeah. I think I still have it in my car somewhere.
It'll be worth about $7 someday.
Right.
Yeah.
On eBay tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep. Just got to get your signatures on it and stuff.
Yeah, right.
So Clint, why don't you introduce yourself and your band?
Hi. All right. I am Clint A. Franklin. I do the vocals for Recorruptor. Have done so since 2014. We have 2 albums out. The first being Bloodmoon was released October 2017, and then we just put out a record last month on the 22nd of August. It's called The Funeral Corridor, and a little bit about me. I work a lot, which is awesome. I love that. It's the buku bucks.
Right.
That Recorruptor doesn't get, I suppose. Death metal, But no, I just kind of spend my time just, doing anything I can for Recorruptor. Chill out, like to watch movies. I don't really video game a lot, but a little bit. Been real hard on Tony Hawk Pro Skater recently.
Oh man, that re-release, so good.
Yeah. Not a lot to know about me. I pretty much live Recorruptor as much as I can. So what you see is what you get.
Fantastic. So I was kind of wondering, what was your guys' intro, like kind of gateway into, because Recorruptor is definitely extreme metal. What was your gateway into that genre? And let's start with Nick again.
Gateway, I think most people kind of have a similar. My brother was really into metal music, and he's a few years older than me, and it all starts with like Led Zeppelin and like Black Sabbath and and like Pink Floyd or something like that, and then it just snowballs from there. And like I think my first, because I wasn't really a huge fan of like the growling and like the guttural vocals, and then like in high school I started listening to Lamb of God, and I was like, this is actually pretty cool. And then like I said, it just snowballs from there. And 1 minute you're at a Goatwhore concert, next minute you're here talking to Recorruptor. So
awesome.
Yeah.
How about you, Clint?
So, I mean, if you're going back, I started out, my dad had me listening to AC/DC, Queen, Van Halen, about stuff like that. AC/DC was my favorite band for the longest time as a kid. Still love AC/DC. I don't care what anybody says.
Right. That's right.
Those are my 4 chords. But so I was pretty well versed in hard rock and stuff like that, but didn't really explore too much of my musical tastes until seventh grade. Seventh grade or eighth grade. Seth, the guitarist from Recorruptor, and I started hanging out about that time. And, we were starting to dig into the hard rock stuff and, together sharing that. And then another buddy of mine, I had just got a iPod Nano for Christmas, right? Just a little 2 gig thing. And I didn't have any music to put on it myself and have nothing. So my buddy took it and just put a bunch of random stuff on it. And I was just kind of shuffling one day when I was in school, and an Angel of Death by Slayer came on.
Oh, awesome.
And just changed everything, man. The high screams, just the blistering speed, of course, the kick drum.
Yeah.
That's huge. The kick drum got me too. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Insane.
The Godfather, Dave Lombardo, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
So
man.
I got really, excited about that when I heard it. I was scared, but in a good way,
Right.
And the first thing I did, I didn't stop for nothing. I just went and I found Seth. I was like, you have to hear this. And of course, he fell in love with it too, right then and there. And then ever since then, we just kind of started, we picked up guitars and started jamming out with that, and it snowballed into Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica. Testament was a real big one for me too at the time. And we kind of stuck on the thrash metal, the old school thrash metal for a bit. First concert was Megadeth with Machine Head.
Oh, cool.
It is insane. And it was when Machine Head was doing the Blackening still. So it was a very, very insane show. Went to a couple concerts like that. And then Nick mentioned Lamb of God. They were real big for me too. Seth and I started playing in cover band with a couple other guys, and one of the fellows was, check this out, this is Lamb of God and whatever. And that was my introduction to really, extreme vocalization, I guess, up until that, Phil Anselmo was probably the heaviest vocalist I'd heard.
Yeah.
And then that just took it to another level. Hearing stuff like As the Palaces Burn and Ashes of the Wake was just a monster for me. Stuff like that, and Slipknot was real big for us too. Just jamming a lot of that. As far as the death metal goes, though, I got into Black Dahlia Murder real early on.
Yeah. Probably
when I was about 16, I think, was when I found them. And, that was... Yeah. It's weird because, they're not, traditional death metal, what I mean?
No.
Phenomenal band. They're still my favorite band of all time.
Yeah.
That's just personally. But for them being my introduction, and with how clean everything is in their music, it actually kind of off-put me to old school death metal for a minute. If that probably wasn't until I got into college when I really started digging on that kind of stuff, death, Cannibal Corpse, Immolation.
Obituary.
What's that?
Obituary.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Can't go wrong, and all that stuff. And I think once I started finding the death metal is when, because if anybody follows me, I talk death metal all the time.
You got a black metal list going on right now on Facebook. I don't know.
I do. Yeah, black metal came around the same time too,
Yeah.
As the death metal. I think once I really started getting into the death metal side of things, it just, everything blew up for me. I was open to everything and wanted to try everything, hear everything, and all that.
Yeah.
And now it's just at a point where there's nothing old to find anymore, it seems. And I found all of it, and now I'm just looking for the new stuff and
Awesome.
trying my best,
Well,
I guess.
you make the new stuff now, so you're kind of a part of it.
There you go. Yeah.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, Slayer started it, so.
Cool. So Nick, do you got any questions you want to ask Clint?
Yeah, I mean, granted, the first time I saw you, obviously you were you had your 21st birthday. But like one thing I kind of was always curious about with just bands in general when they perform is like what's the drinking routine, or if there is a drinking routine for a live show. Do you pace yourself, or is there a certain point where you hit the high during the set, or
right. Okay, so as far as myself goes, prior to that show, like, I obviously couldn't drink in public that much, but that didn't stop me from, like,
right,
putting something in my car or whatever. But no, before that, it wasn't ever really like heavy or anything. And that 21st birthday is kind of just a fluke when it comes to me being really drunk at shows. But when Sammy DeWitt, a Goatwhore and Acid Bath is feeding you Jack and Coke, you don't.
Right. I can imagine. I was gonna ask too. I like you said, I don't remember I don't know if you remember much from that show, but like, did they even know that like you guys existed, or were they kind of just doing their own thing and then they showed up? And
oh yeah, it was they knew it was my 21st before, like, because we did the whole load in for the show and whatever,
right.
And I don't usually get nervous around people very much, but Acid Bath was like super important to me at the time. And Goatwhore too, obviously, but Acid Bath is just, releasing 2 albums in the 90s and fading into obscurity. It's not really something where I thought, I would like hang out with this guy.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So when we did the load in and whatever, the other guys weren't really too present in the building at the time, but Ben, the vocalist, Austin and Silent Green, he was in there. I actually kind of felt bad because I was pre-gaming a little bit and didn't recognize who he was when he said hi and whatever, So I was like, who's this guy, he wants to be nice, whatever.
Yeah, who's this guy?
This girlfriend's like, dude, that's fucking Ben from
whatever.
Right.
Whatever. But yeah, they knew, they knew it was my 21st birthday at the time. I'm not sure if any of them watched the set that we played or not, but that's okay,
Yeah.
But while they played, I don't really remember what I was doing, but I wasn't inside. At this point of their set. But I walked into the building, and I guess they were like asking for the birthday boy.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Where's that guy? Let's get him up here. And it was a couple minutes went on. I wasn't doing nothing. He's like, oh, he must be out in the van plowing some chick or something. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm right here. And so they had me, get up there, and I don't remember what they, something along the lines of, how old are you? I said, I'm 21. And he's like, oh, so you're celebrating your birthday tonight, like playing the show. And then he said something along the lines of 21's the perfect age to get fucked by Satan. And they went to fuck by Satan.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I screamed in the pit. It was sweet. It didn't take long. I was falling over anyways. But it was a great time. We ended up partying afterwards for like 3 hours after the show.
Oh, cool.
Like, Jack and Cokes everywhere. And somebody pulled out a bow and arrow. Like, Goatwhore was like shooting the wall in the building or something. Like,
What?
yeah, like I don't know where it came from. I just looked over and fucking was it bassist or drummer? I can't remember. It was just
That's crazy.
long shot. Just had it.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you
I
can't
think
go
we
on.
went-
You got to go on tour with it, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you gotta have it. You know,
Right.
self-defense.
Yeah, maybe it's in their rider, you know. You got to have like some shit we can shoot with this arrow.
Yeah, right.
Right.
You can have the brown M&Ms. Let me have my bow and arrow.
Right.
That's great.
But to answer your question, going back to the drinking thing,
Yeah.
that's kind of a bunny trail, wasn't it? But no, I think in my memory, I can only think of like 3 times, including that one, where I was like, okay, I'm too drunk, you know?
Yeah.
But they, surprisingly enough, they usually end up being the more memorable shows,
Right. Yeah.
I guess, for one reason or another.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say, like, I've seen you guys, 4 times now, and every time, like, what kind of stood out to me about you guys and what made me kind of want to follow you guys was kind of the energy that you bring at the live shows in particular, right? So especially like you as a front man, you definitely drive like the show, and the rest of the guys are awesome, musicians and kind of follow along. But like, if there's not a guy there who can, point out a time when a wall of death needs to happen, or like a circle pit needs to get going, like, you're not going to have that kind of crowd interaction. That kind of thing builds that relationship, especially with like local bands who haven't really necessarily put out their name across the world yet. But that was a big thing that stood out to me. And funny enough, not to keep harping on that Lansing show, but I actually brought 2 people who that was like their first metal experience ever there. So, and you were actually like their first metal like exposure ever. And we got done with the show, and like both of them actually were like, because Blackfast was playing, and like Goatwhore, obviously veterans, or Blackfast is a little bit newer, but still, pretty established band. And they were like, "Who was that first band we saw?" Like they were way more fun, than those other 2 bands. And like I was like, yeah, I mean they were great, but so like that's kind of how like it stood out to me. I was like, wow, somebody who hasn't even listened to that kind of music before really kind of takes notice. That's kind of a big deal, I think. So yeah.
I mean that's really the whole creative Recorruptor, is that we just want to lay it out on the table and not, we perform in front of it's a cliche thing to say, but we really do perform in front of 10 people like the same way we would in front of 1,000 people.
Yeah.
It's what we do to relieve our stress, which is honestly why this whole pandemic has sucked, because I'm not no way.
Right.
I feel like I'm angrier now than I ever have been in my entire life. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do, But I think that's what caught our eyes when we started going to concerts and watching bands, especially watching the Black Dahlia Murder live. Is he's a great example of it too. Is the best shows were always the people that were engaging with the crowd, and were always, always active, always moving. And so that's what I've always tried to do. You never know who in the crowd is gonna be influenced. Like you said, those couple people that you brought,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was their first show, but
that's awesome.
I'm gonna play to you guys the same way I'm gonna play to somebody who's new. It's and I've always been about spreading the word of metal, and that's one of the ways you do it.
Yeah. So Clint, I've talked with you before, and you're like super kind of laid back dude. At least that's my impression. Like, you're really easygoing, and I've noticed that with a lot of like metal people in general. They're super mostly chill, but the music that you'd make is like so vicious and frenetic and chaotic. Like, where does that come from? What part of you gets channeled into that? Like, what drives that influences that sound that you guys have?
I don't really know how this is gonna come off, but I almost feel like I found out from a very early age of performing, especially because before I did anything with bands, I used to perform in musical theater a lot.
Cool. Yeah.
I found my identity with being on stage and pretending to be someone else, essentially. It's just easier to do that now because I don't have to be like a character or anything, but I think it's pretty obvious that, and like you said, because you know me personally and you know how I am off the stage, once I get up on the stage, I'm a pretty different fella.
Yeah.
It's just I don't want to say that I'm not happy with the person that I am off of the stage, because I like myself, but I'm more impressed with being able to be that eclectic front man that fronts a larger than life band for people. I think it's cool to have people think, oh, this is one badass motherfucker, and then I go home and I'm hanging out with my cats and
That's awesome.
But I don't know. I mean, musically though, it's kind of just something that's come over time. When we started out in Seth and I's first band, it wasn't anything close to what we do now. It was kind of like Lamb of God light, a little bit, just without the Randy Blythe vocals. And I don't know, started out real cool for the first couple of years, and then my personal life kind of started going a little wonky, and I think that created an anger inside of me that I kind of realized I couldn't release properly anywhere else but the stage. And then, with that, I started finding death metal and found that was a proper way to, really expel my negative emotions, I guess. So I think that's where you get what Recorruptor is now. Because it's not positive music. It's you know how it is. It's not the message isn't positive, but to the to us metalheads, it's a release.
I was going to say it is a kind of, and I was going to ask both of you, do you feel it's like kind of a cathartic thing? Because I know that somebody else that's not into metal, and they, like, my wife's not necessarily into metal, and she hears that stuff, she's like, oh my God, what the hell? That would drive me crazy. And to me, it's like, I just, I can feel that energy, but I could do other stuff and be listening to like Recorruptor cranking through my headset, and it's like,
oh yeah.
But I'm totally, sometimes I get a little off track, because I'm like, and then back to what you're doing. But do you guys feel that way too? So it's kind of this cathartic, almost calming impact. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I think I'll be like driving in my car, and people ride with me. They're like, so you just listen to this music just regularly, like all the time, right? And I'm like, yeah, like what else is there to listen to? It's what I like,
Right.
So,
don't you get so pissed off?
yeah. Aren't you just constantly this pissed off, like that you need to, So it's just funny because I have friends who, like, I'll show metal to, and they'll appreciate it, and they'll go to shows sometimes with me, but they're not, they don't. It's not something they listen to on a regular basis, and they'll be like, I only listen to it when I'm like working out, and I'm like trying to get pumped up or something. Right. But yeah, it's definitely calming, and it just there's something about like hearing you know, whether it's a familiar, you know, riff or something like that, or even something new that kind of grabs your attention in your ear. It just, it's such a joyous feeling, like in a weird way, to me at least, like where I get so excited, you know, about it, where I'm just like, oh man, this is so cool. And like there's really nothing else in the world, and it might sound sad, but like there's really nothing else that gives me that feeling. So that's kind of why, I keep listening to keep getting those feelings, and sometimes, taking a step back and appreciating things that maybe I've heard a million times too, gives me that feeling as well, So,
That's cool.
I get that for sure, 100%. I think for me it's simply because when I listen to metal, I can tell there's no bullshit, and I hate to sound like that, but when I listen to a lot of other kinds of music, even some bands that are in metal, it's almost like I have a detector, where it's just like I know you don't feel what you're playing, and that's why people always ask me, it's like they say there's no emotion to it. It's just angry. And I'm like, yeah, but angry is the realest emotion that there is.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the most visceral emotion. It's the most uncaged emotion. And that's awesome to me. I think that people really need to embrace their anger. And I think that's why, I think that's why you get some of the awful things that happen today, is because some people just don't embrace their anger and don't release it in a healthy way. And when I listen to metal, I hear people that are releasing that anger in a healthy way.
Sure.
That's why I like metal. I think it's people really laying it on the table, and it's honest. It's always honest.
Cool. So if you guys were going to put together like an awesome show that you'd like to go see, what are like 3 bands you'd like to see on that show?
That's a tough question, because it like changes for me week to week, I think.
Yeah, it is tough that way.
Obviously Recorruptors, headlining, so
awesome.
I think like in my entire history of metal, like liking, I think the bands that have always been really consistent with me have always been like Mastodon has always been at the top for me. Gojira, and Opeth, and then probably actually, and this just shows like the diversity of metal, I think, but like Revocation has been a huge band for me.
Oh yeah,
like I love that band so much, and it was one of the first bands I think I like discovered on my own, because I saw them open for like Children of Bodom one time, and I was like, what is going on here with this band?
Right.
Yeah. So then I've just kind of like always been a lifelong fan of theirs and loved everything that they've put out. So yeah. So it'd be a horrible lineup, because you'd get like the most mixed up group of fans, I think. But
I actually think that is a great idea, because I actually like shows where you've got that mix, where you've got
that's true.
Yeah. Because I mean, it may not go for everyone. I don't know, like Berserker, that show has got all kinds of shit in there.
Right.
Weird ass shit plus fucking just straight up metal and everything, and that's what I like those shows. So I think that's a good concert list there.
I agree. 3 bands, that's tough. I'm just gonna go. Shoot. I'm trying to think bands that I haven't seen yet.
Oh, cool.
Which is hard, because I've seen a lot of them. I'm gonna do 2 different lineups here.
Okay.
One for death metal and one for black metal. Okay.
Cool.
So for death metal, I would like to see Bloodbath.
Nice.
Would be great. Wow. I'm trying to catch Maryland Death Fest this year, so that might change. but or next year if it happens. But I would like to see Bloodbath with Immolation. Immolation's right under Black Dahlia Murder for my all-time favorite. And then that's a toughie. 3 bands. Bloodbath, Immolation, and I'll go with. You're making me choose. I can't think.
Are you scrolling through your iTunes library now?
No, I should. I really should. This might be a cop out, but Suffocation with Frank on vocals would be great.
Cool, yeah. I saw.
We opened for Suffocation. I've seen Suffocation a couple other times, but they've all been with either Kevin or Ricky on vocals. So
yeah. Cool.
I think Ricky, the Disgorge guy.
Yeah. One thing I thought was interesting when I saw you guys play in Kalamazoo at like some bar. I forgot what the name was, but but I went to go see Discarnate there, and then you were really pumped about them on stage. Like there were like 10 bands playing that night, and you were really pumped up about them. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, Jesus, like, you know, this guy, because I think you said something about Revocation too, and I was like, this guy like pretty much likes the same stuff I do, and like these obscure kind of bands, which I don't think have a lot of spotlight on them, but yeah, but like I was super pumped about Discarnate, and then you were like, you guys gotta stay here and watch Discarnate, you know, all this stuff.
Heavy as fuck, man. That last record is, I mean, any band that's a 3-piece automatically just wins for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But them, they're like, to me, it's like they're mixing like the dying fetus attitude, but doing it in a more direct way rather than all complicated.
There's a wall of sound from them. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I was like, you're only 3 people, and you're just it's so powerful.
Yeah, and for them to get that sound live too. You know, should just be in one guitar, but yeah. Total riff band. Every single one for the next. Like it all has purpose. It all ties in together. Yeah, amazing record. That last one they put out. All their records are amazing, but that last one especially.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Black metal though would be Emperor headlining. I would love to see Emperor. I would definitely like to see Mayhem as well. I still haven't seen Mayhem, but that would be great. And then what's the band? I'm blanking on the name. Shit. Kraft.
Oh,
Kraft.
Cool.
Yeah, Kraft is not quite the same as Mayhem and Emperor as far as musically, but
yeah.
They're evil as fuck. I like that.
Awesome. That's awesome. So what would be something that somebody would be shocked if they like were scrolling through your phone and looking at the music and go, holy shit, you listen to this?
Look at the music?
Yeah, what kind of music?
Yeah, music-wise?
Yeah. Or yeah, holy shit, you watch this? What the fuck?
Usually, I mean, I feel like most people would be. I feel like any average person would really be shocked at most of the stuff I listen to anyway. Especially if you get into the album covers, how people are still, Cannibal Corpse is still shocking people somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking more of like, people, are probably they're thinking you guys are listening primarily metal, but maybe you like are a huge disco fan or something like that.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, not really a disco guy, but, I mean, I like other genres to an extent. I'd say if there was a second favorite genre, it'd be the 90s and early 2000s era of hip hop rap.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So I listened to a shit ton of Biggie. I listened to a shit ton of Nas, Bone Thugs, stuff like that. Wu-Tang, you know, and I mean, I don't know. I guess that might shock somebody for somebody who looks through my feed and sees all death and black metal,
Right.
and then,
Right.
Still got that anger though that you talk about, like in a different way though,
That's true.
Yeah, and you're right. I think that is why I'm drawn into that so much, because they were really living that stuff for the most. I mean, most of them at least.
Right.
Not Drake.
They really understood the culture of the music, and I mean, it's real, it's honest, and probably why I don't like the later era of rap and hip hop, but there's still good stuff out there.
Yeah.
I like that. I like some modern artists too. As far as the newer stuff goes, I like to listen to like Aesop Rock, Kendrick Lamar is good for me too. But no, other than that, I don't. Now I'm pulling up the iTunes.
To find that one weird thing, like, oh yeah.
Right. But other than that, what's that?
I said Ace of Base. What?
Right. But other than that, like specific bands, like I'm huge on Deftones.
Oh yeah, cool.
That might shock some people, I guess.
That new song they came out with, I forgot what it was, but it's like their new single. Because I'd never really listened to them before either, but I heard it on like Liquid Metal, and I was really into it actually.
Mm-hmm.
The forgot exactly what it was called, but
Genesis,
or no, the other one.
Ohms.
Ohms, yeah, that one. I love the riff to that. That was great.
Yeah, that's a really cool one. You definitely dig back into their discography a little bit. I think if you like the new stuff, you'll definitely like the older stuff too.
Gotcha.
Really, really intimate music. I like it a lot. Other than that, I don't know. It's mostly just other rock bands, I guess.
Yeah, cool.
Loving the classics, but yeah, it's pretty much metal.
All metal all the time.
How about you, Nick? Anything?
Yeah, I think I kind of in college I was around a bunch of hipsters all the time, so like all that folk stuff, kind of the I think like one band that I still kind of listen to on occasion is like Lord Huron. They're like a real folky kind of band, but they have one album that I'm just like, this is, again, like you talking about emotion and music and kind of the realness, and you kind of resonate with it. It's just a sad album, man. It's just like instead of kind of anger, you kind of go into the other side of the bad feelings, and you're like, oh, this is a little bit of a more sorrow, rainy day kind of album. But then but yeah, so a lot of kind of Mumford and Sons kind of stuff, and like I said, I don't really that much, but it's just something that I kind of in college, you associate that kind of with at least for me, college was kind of like, oh, this is fun, good times. And
I still really like those first couple Mumford and Sons records.
Yeah,
they're good.
Yeah. So Nick, did you get into bluegrass at all while you were getting into folk?
Probably. I don't really remember the bands as much as like metal bands, because like I'll hear them and I'll be like, oh, this is pretty cool or it's pretty chill, but like I won't go and investigate, so
yeah crazy.
Yeah.
Another one I wanted to forget, the one that would probably shock people the most is that I'm I don't know if but no, I'm really, really big on what Billie Eilish is doing. Yeah, like, I mean, I know a lot of people won't agree with me on that. I mean, but yeah, I think she's got a really unique way of crafting songs. Her and her brother there. And I really like her voice, and yeah, I like that stuff that she does.
Yeah, I think that probably speaks to what you're talking about as far as honesty, because again, I think there's that an honesty that comes out of that music.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think I do like it. You know, especially since when she came out too, was a lot different than what was going on the radio.
Yep,
that's what really caught my ear, and she hasn't strayed from it. So, yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
Right, not yet. Yeah. Next thing you know, she's putting out WAP Part 2.
Yeah.
Just rehashing things over and over again with different mixes.
Song of our do you mind if I ask a real quick question again?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
You're out. You're out.
Oh, I'm out.
Yeah, dude, you ran out of questions.
All right. Real quick. So I obviously you as a metal fan go to like a lot of different shows and all you're used to before COVID, obviously. But is there anything like you've seen on stage that you're just like, I want to incorporate that into our act at Recorruptor, you know, something like where even a front man or, you know, even something the drummer does and you tell your drummer, like, you're doing that, you know, like that's sick.
That's a tough one because Recorruptor hasn't really ever done anything like spectacular to say, you know what I mean? Like,
sure,
we've always been, you know, this is who we are, and but I mean, I guess my stage presence has definitely been influenced from people like Trevor from Black Dahlia Murder, Travis, Brian from Cattle Decapitation.
Oh yeah, Jesus,
got the big one on me. One that might surprise people is Mike Ronica, who sings for the Devil Wears Prada. And that's another one on my playlist that people would probably be a little shocked by, but they were one of my real early influences for metal.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I never really liked the kind of bands that, you know, the scene they were a part of, the post-core and, you know, crapcore or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But you know, all those bands, I thought, again, I didn't feel like it was honest. I didn't feel like they were really doing what they wanted to do, I guess. And that's why you saw a lot of those bands fizzle out or change to radio rock, you know.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, none of those bands are the same or together anymore. But the Devil Wears Prada had, from very early on, I could tell that they meant every note that they played, and the singer especially was the craziest shit that I'd ever seen at the time when I saw him play. Dude moved like no other. Like, I thought he was gonna, you know, like those old toys that's got the little figurine with the bass, and you press the bottom of the bass.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's what he was like the whole time. Like, he'd just be running and he just and just goes into some crazy whatever move, and that's, I don't know, that I saw him and I was just like, dude like stops at nothing to go hard as fuck. You know?
Yeah.
And Greg from Dillinger Escape Plan was the same way when I saw him too. Like,
oh yeah, those guys. Holy shit.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely
a new level.
Yeah. Yeah, but as far as specific things that we do goes, no, it's kind of, I mean, we have our influences, but it pretty much just comes from the heart, what we do. So
cool.
Makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
Got any other questions, Nick?
I mean, yeah, I had a list of them here. So unless you have some.
No, go for it.
I guess one thing that kind of popped in my head while we were talking about like live shows a little bit, and Clint, have you done any of like, or seen any like live online streaming live shows, or like bought a ticket to one of them or anything that?
Not yet. I've been mostly too busy to do something like that anyway. I work anywhere from 60 to 70 hours in a week, and
Oh shit.
my weekends are pretty well spent either doing Recorruptor shit or, a plethora of other random things. So it's not very often that I get to just sit at home and
Right.
so
yes.
I don't know though. I mean, none of them have really been enticing enough for me to want to do that, I guess. Because I get the motive, and I definitely appreciate that bands are doing something like this for the fans. But to me, there's so much YouTube content out there that it kind of makes it hard for me to.
That's true.
You got to go really balls out, and that's why the only one that I'm sad I missed out on was Behemoth's set.
Oh yeah.
I do
like a whole movie.
Yeah, like I saw the stills of that, and I was like, okay, that's how you do it. And I mean, there's some cool stuff out there too. I know Between the Buried and Me did Colors recently in full.
Oh yeah.
And I was a little upset that I missed that one too. I think I'm wondering how this is going to go from here with bands trying to do this live stream stuff, because how far do you take it? I guess is what I'm wondering, because it's easy for a band like Behemoth to be able to pull something like that off.
Right.
Well, I mean, easy, but like a band like Recorruptor couldn't pull off a full stage scale show like that,
Right.
So it's just
I was gonna ask, like, was that something that you guys were thinking about when COVID hit? Was like, we got a new album coming out, we got to promote this thing, why not? I don't know if you guys would want to play the whole album through, or at least put on like a set of like 5 songs or something like that, but
right.
No.
Yeah, we have no, we've been talking about it, and I think it's something that we would like to do. We were a little scared there for a second, because I don't know if you guys saw that stuff about Facebook changing their rules for music platform. I guess that they've kind of gotten a little more lax with it to allow live streaming and stuff like that.
I think it was oriented toward cover bands, really.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that gave us a little scared. But other than that, I mean, when COVID hit, March 15th was when it shut down, I believe. Or 16th.
Somewhere around there,
Yeah. And so we'd had the record done already, right?
Right.
And we actually held off on doing anything with the record. I mean, we didn't start promotion for the record pre-release until June.
Yeah.
So there was a couple months there where we were just kind of like, what do we do? What if we can't play a release show?
Right.
What if, there's just a bunch of what ifs, and it was frustrating because we've already been sitting on this record for months at this point, just trying to finalize all the behind the scenes stuff. So, and then right around that time, we had just got Caleb in the band now, so he's still, learning some of the stuff. I think he's got like one more song from the new album to learn, and then he has the full album ready.
Nice.
But it's, I don't know, like I don't know enough about that area of shooting a live stream show like properly, because it's not really something where somebody would hold a phone. I wouldn't want to do that. You know what I mean?
I've seen a couple of those.
Yeah.
It's not too bad actually. But it's fun, but it's not the same as being there. But
yeah, and I think some bands can pull that off too. Depending on what genre there is. But for us, it just wouldn't work. it'd have to be something where we'd have to get a couple different cameras to be able to shoot at different angles and then actually mic up all the stuff.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like go to Max, set it up, and have cameras there.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think the sound is the trickiest part on that thing. It's like not so much like the shooting, but to get a good sound quality, especially with like songs that are heavily distorted, like it just, you got to really get a good mixer in there. So yeah.
Yes, I don't know. I know Heartsick and Heart of Jordan and Nagazi and Let It Rot just did a show recently where it looked like, I didn't check it out. I was too busy, but it looked like it was pretty upscale, so maybe we'll talk to them and see what they did.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Didn't you guys do some playthroughs? Didn't Seth do some playthroughs?
Yep. When we did the Tormented Aggress single, we did the music video for that, and then maybe a couple weeks earlier, we had already shot a guitar playthrough for that song.
Yeah. And
Gear Gods actually promoted it. They uploaded the video from their website and did a whole write-up on it, which is, only thanks to Brody from Rivers of Nile, because he's the one who mastered the record.
Cool.
Which is super cool.
Yeah. How's that helped? And has that felt like you kind of stepped up Recorruptor's kind of level in terms of exposure with that connection?
A little bit, yeah. He definitely helped us out with a couple of things. As far as getting the music out there and having his name attached to it, helped a little bit. And, But I followed Rivers of Nile since before their first record dropped. So I've known that band for a long time, and I've stayed connected with them. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like we're like best friends or whatever. But the last couple times I had seen him, I got to know him a little better, and I knew Brody was doing the mastering thing, so I hit him up, and it was a real pleasant experience. He's a super cool guy, and for him to do that and put so much effort into a band that he's never heard of, and it's just some guy hitting him up. You know what I mean? So, he was cool about it, and he had a lot of good things to say about the record when we were working on it. So props to him for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
So guys, this is going to be the final question of the evening. I know. So I want to thank you guys so much, man, for being on. It's been super fun. It's really cool. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's definitely been fun.
Yeah. So Nick, I'm going to leave the last question to you, man. You've been asking some awesome ones. Go for it.
All right. Let's see here. I don't want to really. Is there anything like, in terms of the songwriting process? I don't want to harp too much on it, but obviously, like, I think you guys really stepped up a new level with this newest album in terms of just strong song structure overall.
That's because we stole it.
But is there anything?
Just kidding.
Right, no. But is there anything like you guys wrote and you listened to it and maybe listened to some of the other songs, you were like, this is going on the album for sure, but like you wrote this particular riff or this section to a song or a whole song even, and you're like, this just doesn't fit with everything else, and let's just leave it be.
Right.
It's kind of a complicated, I guess, but...
Oh, no, I get what you're saying for sure. It's just the method of it all.
Sure, yeah.
So, for, like, Bloodmoon, when, now we're tracing back to Dustin being in the band, right?
Yep.
Because Dustin was the one that, started Recorruptor and all that, and, so when we did the Bloodmoon thing, a lot of those songs were already written by the time even I joined the band. I think there is only like maybe three or four of the songs were updated or were like newer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they were mostly Dustin songs that he just, wrote on his time. And so that was pretty simple. And then I think the other three songs that I brought to the table and I wrote those. By the time that Seth got in the band, most of the material was already written. We just didn't have a means to record it for a while. So, and then when we did the Funeral Corridor, it was, essentially the same. It was 3 of the songs were Dustin's, and 3 of the songs were Seth's, and 3 of the songs were mine. And then one of the songs was a combination of Seth and I. And then we'd bring these songs to the table, and we kind of, everybody puts their little flavor in it a little bit, maybe, critique a part and say, hey, maybe it would work better this way and whatever. More so Seth and I, we didn't really change a whole lot of Dustin stuff. He kind of had it set the way he wanted. But as far as, like kicking stuff off of the record, I guess, like as far as riff wise goes, we didn't really change a whole lot going into the studio. It pretty well stayed the same.
Okay.
When wrote it the way it was. I mean, we took a song off. There's actually a 10th song on the Funeral Corridor that didn't make its way on.
Oh,
sure.
Bonus track.
Yeah, bonus track for the special edition vinyl issue that comes out like 15-year anniversary track.
15-year anniversary.
There you go.
But no, we just when we got to the studio, it didn't come out how we wanted it to. And
Sure.
There's a bunch of there's a bit of internal bickering going on about it, and we just ultimately decided it kind of broke the flow of the record, and we just decided to leave it off. But other than that,
power ballad, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes. The Unforgiven 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
As if we needed the other two. But no, yeah. Other than that, though, we're pretty, we dug our heels in pretty good with what we wanted to do with those riffs and how the songs were structured. They didn't really change too much from the demo versions per se.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this time around, because we're already in writing gear. I mean, there's nothing else to do.
Right.
So, promote the album and write in our free time. But this time around, I think we're definitely going to take a much closer look at, editing things. And
cool.
I think going through the reviews of the album, we noticed, not that it's a bad thing, of course, we did what we wanted to do, but noticed a lot of people talk about the length of the songs, I guess, because it's a long record. I mean, I think it's 53 minutes with 9 songs. Yeah. So I mean,
pretty standard issue for most metal, though. I feel like.
I mean,
I wouldn't say it's necessarily too long, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
It's not like you're a grind band doing 2-minute songs.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's very true. But
Napalm Death.
Yeah. It works, man.
So speaking of Napalm Death, that new album is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was wondering too, because I loved the first single, Backlash, just because it went super hard, and then the next one came out, and it was definitely different for Napalm Death. Immoral, Immoral.
Yeah.
Just a lot more upbeat for that kind of band, and it was cool, but it kind of reminded me of like the mid to late 90s era of Napalm Death in a way, and they continued that with the next single. But I was wondering how it was going to turn out because two of the singles were a little, I mean, not lighter, but for Napalm Death, lighter.
Yeah, it's a really cool album. So.
Oh yeah, the whole way through. In those two singles that I was worried about make absolute sense in the grand scheme of the album too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Cool. They never do any wrong, and they've only gotten better since the mid 2000s too. Like, not that they ever really fell off, I guess, but I mean, it's just been amazing. Utilitarian and Apex Predator are two of my favorite albums from the band. Super cool.
Yeah, they're awesome. All right, guys. Once again, thank you so much for being on Fans with Bands. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you later.
Definitely. Yeah, thanks for going. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for coming on, Nick.
Yeah. Thanks, Clint.
Good to see you.
All right. Take care, guys. Thanks again to Clint from Recorruptor and Nick for joining me on this episode of Fans with Bands. Head over to the Recorruptor Bandcamp page to pick up their fantastic album called The Funeral Corridor. See the show notes for all the details and links. These are tough times for everyone in the creative industries such as music. Your support of live streaming, purchasing music, and merchandise is critical. If you can help out your local artists, please do. If you are in the Michigan area, consider following the Playing in the Detroit Area Tonight Facebook page. It is a place for fans and bands to support each other and share our combined love of music. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast service to get each and every episode of Fans with Bands. Spread the word by rating the show and leaving a comment. We want to hear what you think. You can keep in touch by following us on social media. This is a Life in Michigan production. Until next time, be well and kick out the jams.